So I don't know about you, about 3 cups of coffee into this morning, and I'm just like Niagara Falls out my asshole right now. And did you get your nitro coffee today?
I did. It's
Same
like,
same concept? Is it
um,
nitro shit?
not yet, but it does turbocharge the colon. That is for sure.
So is it like Fast and the Furious of the anal leakage or what?
Well, so I mean, let's say in the 8 fucking movies that they have,
9 now.
when you drink, so like if you're lactose intolerant and you fuck up and you drink milk, it's kind of like Fast and Furious 2, shitty, just awful, right? But if you get that shit in at the right time with your soy milk and you don't get sick, it's kind of like the Tokyo Drift. That shit just slides right on in there. Oh, that's good stuff.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Two Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. I'm Ed.
I'm Zach.
And here we are on February 8th, 2021. Beautiful Monday, day after the Super Bowl. Sad day,
We're
but
all
happy day.
0-0, baby.
All
That shit
0-0.
starts over.
We're just going to kick the door straight down and get right into it. We'll talk about Super Bowl. Last night, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated Patrick Mahomes. Defeated is an understatement.
They crushed those motherfuckers.
They embarrassed them in some form or fashion.
Yeah. That was an old school meet me at the monkey bars. I'm gonna knock your dick in the dirt ass beating.
And that was a true. I wouldn't even say it was so much Tom Brady winning in them that game. Like he spread the ball perfectly across the field. That defense, hands down, top 5 defense of Super Bowl history, in my opinion.
I don't know. Like, I haven't done the math and looked at all the stats, but I mean, it was a suffocating defensive performance. I mean, I feel like watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were clicking on all cylinders. The offense was on fire. Rob Gronkowski apparently found the fountain of youth, which somehow we thought he was old, but he's the same age as Travis Kelce, which is weird. But 2 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, it looked like Patriots 08, like they were just on fire. And the defense was on point. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. We've never seen that. That Tampa Bay team was ready.
You know who is late to the show, but I'm glad they're here? Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, that was a great showing for him. I mean, he's kind of had a patchwork quilt of a career, and couldn't get traded, and then just basically gets cut after being a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
And signs on with Tampa Bay, and he's played second fiddle to the rookie all season. And then in the playoffs, he's just like, I know how to play in big games. I did it in LSU my whole career.
Fournette in the playoffs is the Fournette we've been waiting for since he was drafted.
100%.
He didn't have the numbers for touchdowns, but the yardage and the power, and it was almost like watching another form of Marshawn Lynch in a way.
Ooh, man, that's a tall order, but I see the dominance. That is exactly what happened. He took
the
over
way
the
he was able
half.
to punch through some of those holes and gain yardages. That's just what we've been waiting for ever since he's drafted. Now, let's just hope he can carry that going into the next season. If that's the case with Ronald Jones Jr. Taking half the snaps with him, that I still think that's going to be a dominating offense.
I mean,
there.
100%, because I feel like Ronald Jones is a great running back, supreme talent. I mean, he's quick, fast, catches the ball out of the backfield. I mean, good running back. But I feel like the way that the NFL has gone, if you don't have 2, B+ running backs, your running game sucks.
You've got to have a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's the days of, Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook are the anomalies, obviously, where you can just turn around and give those guys the ball 30 times a game. Those type of running backs, like the Eddie Georges and like the Earl Campbells and those type guys, I feel like they're not around anymore. It's turned into almost like having in baseball, how they have a dominant closer, but you have like the couple setup guys.
Yep.
And the bullpen, like the back end of the bullpen has to be really good. It's like, if you don't have the tackle, like in between the tackles, running, pounding guy and then the outside speed guy, then you don't have enough variance in your offense. And these two guys together, they did it flawlessly on the grandest stage. I mean, my hat's off to Leonard Fournette. That was a great performance.
I think it was an outstanding performance from Tampa Bay all around. Only thing I would probably say that doesn't get any mention is special teams, because I mean, all they did was kick field goals and kickoffs, right? They probably punted maybe a handful of times. I don't really remember.
I don't remember the stat. I'm sure there was probably more than 5, but yeah, I mean, to be fair, in the Super Bowl or the playoffs, whatever, you don't really want to be talking about special teams, because usually if you're talking about special teams, it's because they fucked up.
Well, and then the only special teams you could talk about is Kansas City kicking 3 field goals, and that's it, no touchdowns.
Well, and then also in the first half, the penalty where they had to re-kick the punt, and all of a sudden it went from like a 58-yard punt to like a 28-yard punt.
Yep.
And it gave Tom Brady like perfect opportunity to strike again. What did he do? He put the damn thing in the end zone again. I mean, he just whipped that at, like, yeah, we say, you know, it was a team effort, but how much do you put on? That's Tom Brady just commanding respect and just demanding that all these guys step up and play.
Him taking the stand in the first quarter with the touchdown right out the gate, I think motivated the defense even more. And then we all know the type of leadership that he is. I mean, hell, the night before the Super Bowl, he sent the entire team a text message saying, "We can win this." He's an all-around leader, offense, defense, water boy, the jockstrap cleaner down the hallway. Like he motivates everybody within any organization, right? So
100%. I feel like that's what Tampa Bay needed. Yeah. I mean, they had a very talented team. Granted, they signed some free agents. I mean, Leonard Fournette obviously signed along with Tom Brady and Gronkowski, and that helps. Yeah, well, and we'll get to that. Antonio Brown, the feet are still fire with that kid.
They never left. Christ. His attitude and his problems outside the field is what
100%. Like if he could just remove the stick in his ass, right, and stop being, this. We say that, but most wide receivers that are top notch are divas anyway. I mean, look at Michael Irvin and T.O. I mean, Jesus Christ. But
Tom Brady brought him back down to a normal level. Though.
I mean, I feel like Tom Brady probably sat him down and said, "Look, you keep fucking up, you're going to be out of the league. Nobody's going to want you on your team. And if you fuck up on my team, I'll beat your ass. And if I can't, I know these linemen will whip your ass."
Well, you remember at the beginning, whenever Tom Brady came on, Bruce Arians came out and said, "We're not getting Antonio Brown."
Yeah, so that shows. Tom Brady says, "Hey, I want this guy."
He fought for him, and I think there was something about that. Antonio Brown was like, "Fuck this dude. The biggest name in the NFL is sticking his neck out for me. I can't let him down."
Oh yeah, 100%. And that, I think that was what goes to Tampa Bay. Looked at the roster they had. I mean, hats off to the GM for Tampa Bay to know that, hey, you know what? We're one guy away from winning the Super Bowl. But having said that, I feel like the only guy that could have made this team a Super Bowl team was Tom Brady.
Yep. And, it's going to be interesting to see how we go into the next year with their draft picks and free agency and stuff like that. I don't know. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good Super Bowl. I wouldn't say it's one of the most historic Super Bowls other than Tom Brady being there for his 10th, getting his 7th ring, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the only lasting effect of this Super Bowl, like we won't remember, it's not the Steelers Cardinals Super Bowl. It's not like the Packers Broncos Super Bowl. It's not like the Patriots Panthers first Super Bowl. It's not like that. It's more of just utter dominance. We haven't seen just an ass whipping in the Super Bowl in a while. I mean, even the last Super Bowl was 13-3.
Yeah, and that was a boring Super Bowl in that one.
Well, maybe that wasn't the last one. Was that the last one?
That was.
Well, that's the last one Brady was in, right?
Yeah, the last one was Kansas City and San Francisco.
That's right. So, and that one wasn't really just.
And that one wasn't memorable either. Out. It was only good because Patrick Mahomes, 3rd year in, got it right. So
exactly. I mean, that was just because, like, hey, here's this sensation. He's the new guy on the scene. holy shit, he dominated in the Super Bowl. And then, so yeah, the historical implications are only that Brady's the fucking man.
Yep. From here on out, and we probably won't see it unless Mahomes can do that, right?
Yeah, looking down the road, Aaron Rodgers is too old.
Yep.
He's definitely talented enough. He's just too old. Well, I say that, right? What if he plays till he's 45? I mean, he's in shape. He hasn't had any.
But look how many NFC championship games they've been knocked out of, right? He's been to the dance twice. He's won one. And I mean, stat wise, yeah, he can stay up there. He's for sure first ballot Hall of Fame, but I don't see him coming close to getting the Super Bowl recognition like Tom Brady has. Like Drew Brees won't, Aaron Rodgers won't. Russell Wilson has to put in a shit ton of work to get his team back to there to where he can even be a contender. Right now, Patrick Mahomes is one that stands out because he already has that one in such a short amount of time.
Oh yeah, then I think that's what you have to look at. I mean, Tom Brady won the Super Bowl in his third year. Is that right? Like his third year in the league, but it was his second year as a full-time starter.
I believe so.
So I mean, yeah, I would say it's Patrick Mahomes or it's Russell Wilson, but the Seattle Seahawks just don't look like the Seahawks of old.
No.
They're going to have to do a lot of free agency moves.
Get that defense back to what it was before.
Yeah, the defense just isn't. I mean, Russell Wilson can score 35 points a game, but the defense giving up 36, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you're right. Maybe that's why the Super Bowl just doesn't seem to have the flair. What's weird is it kind of feels like waking up today. We knew better, right? Everybody wanted to hype up the Chiefs. Everybody wanted to say, man, that's a juggernaut of an offense. How are you going to stop them? How are you going to do this? And here we are. Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl and he fucking won it. Like, I don't know why we're shocked by this anymore.
We went in ready to bang a 10, and the results turned out to be banging like a 5. Like, we're satisfied with it. It's just the expectation was set higher than the result.
It was like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like when the club lights were off, it looked like a 10. As soon as 2 o'clock hit and they said everybody's got to get out, the lights came on and you realize, holy shit.
Yep.
But you know what? Tom Brady still bagged it. Didn't matter.
The one stat I'll take away that I actually think is more impressive than that Super Bowl game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just this postseason beat 3 former Super Bowl MVPs, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes, all in the same postseason. They were the wild card team that came in, underdogs, went all the way and won it. To me, that's very impressive.
They had that one guy, though, Tom Brady.
I thought you were going to say LaShawn McCoy.
No.
I don't even think he stepped on the field last night, did he?
No, I don't think so.
Motherfucker got a ring, though.
LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah.
He plays for the Chiefs.
He plays for Tampa Bay, bud.
LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah, he got cut from him last year.
I'm thinking of Le'Veon Bell.
Hold on. I might be eating my dick right now.
Hold on. No. Le'Veon Bell plays for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And LaShawn McCoy plays for the Buccaneers. You're correct. That is correct. I had them mixed.
And I'm sorry. LaShawn McCoy has now his 2nd Super Bowl ring.
Who did you win the first one with?
That's a good question. Fucking internet right out the gate.
That's weird because
2-time Super Bowl champion.
Well, he played with the Eagles. He didn't win.
Oh, he got it with fucking Kansas City last year.
No, we're idiots.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, sports apparently is a thing.
Fucking A, man.
Shit.
Next, we're going to talk about polo. Everybody knows.
It sounds like we're only qualified to talk about fucking crochet. So
that's with a Q, right?
Yeah, I think it's a Q and an I, which is weird.
Or I'm thinking of cricket.
Yeah.
All right. So again, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looking forward to see what comes next year with Bruce Arians saying he's coming back and Tom Brady saying he's coming back. So
Tom Brady's coming back for sure. This is the truth about who Tom Brady is. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
So his entire goal, I feel like, is to hold every fucking record.
Do you blame him?
So he's got, no, not at all, but he's got most wins. Drew Brees, I think, is going to retire. So then he'll get most touchdowns.
Ooh.
Right? The only record I don't think that he could get would be the most touchdowns in the regular season. I guarantee that he's going to give it a shot. 55 seems like a tall order.
Going at what, age 44?
But after last night, I'm not going to say he can't do it. You know, I mean, and think about that. I mean, Antonio Brown is a free agent, so that's one piece of the wheel missing, and so is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin will be a free agent. I have to feel like that they would re-sign him. But if that happens, you're returning Cameron Brate, who got hurt. You know, he has a back injury, but if he comes back and he's fully healthy, he's a very viable red zone option. Obviously, Gronkowski and Tom Brady go way back. And Mike Evans is a huge threat. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in the game.
O.J. Howard's coming off the season-ending injury. O.J. Howard. So
right, yes, he's on IR. That's correct. So I mean, they have weapons. So I don't want to say that 55 touchdowns is out of the realm of possibilities. It's just, that's a tall order, but he could do that.
Well,
but the one record that he doesn't have. I mean, now he has won a Super Bowl with two different teams. Him and Peyton Manning are the only two quarterbacks to ever do that. So what he wants to be able to tell Peyton is, I won two Super Bowls with two different teams, right? I'm the only quarterback ever to win multiple championships with multiple franchises.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that he can do it.
So
in my mind,
to add on to those accolades, first quarterback to win a Super Bowl in 3 decades, three separate decades, right?
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't think we can be shocked anymore. Like, you know, the days of Tom Brady's a system quarterback and he's not as good as we think he is because
it was the Belichick system.
Yeah, fuck all that. The guy's great. Like, I mean, obviously being a Broncos fan, there's going to be a quarterback that no one will ever top. That's just the way it is. To me, Elway will always be the greatest.
Well, that's an argument for another day.
Well, right. But I will admit that it's fully emotional. It's not based in any factual realm, right? But to me, I will never say that Brady's the GOAT. But that's just out of spite. He's the fucking greatest. That dude is amazing. He took a team. I don't even know what Tampa Bay's record was last year, but Jameis Winston threw. By the way, we need to talk about him, but he threw 30 touchdowns, 30 picks, couldn't make this team win. Tom Brady's like, got it. I'll get a ring for all these guys.
Right.
Came down there, took a team that didn't even make the playoffs and turned them into a fucking juggernaut, and they whipped ass in the Super Bowl. Man, that dude. And then, then outside the game, right? Like, I just want to shake hands with his dick. Like, that guy, he is in the Hall of Fame for many different reasons.
Did you see any of the locker room footage, like some of the players were doing on social media and stuff?
No, I try to stay away from that. I feel like that's a trap.
Well, the funny part is like you got some of them, of course, that's their first Super Bowl or whatever, and they're celebrating, and then they're like, man, look at Tom. And it shows him in his locker just cool as a cucumber. They're like, man, he's not even celebrating. He's been here before. That dude's a legend.
Well,
right?
So, like, to me, the cool part, like, this is probably me showing being a dad, but seeing Tom Brady when he saw his kids right after he won.
Yep.
That was a cool thing. I mean,
what about the moment where they cut to his parents being up in the stands, right? Like, they're still emotional, and this is his 7th time, and they've been there for every single one of them.
Let me ask you a question, man. I don't care how old you are. You watch your son win a Super Bowl, you're crying. Like, that's your boy. Like, that dude came from your nuts.
No, fuck that. I'm telling him you should have done better.
No, that's bullshit. I don't do that. That's not a good look.
Hey, man, congratulations on winning your 7th, but You don't think you could have picked it up in the third? I mean, why you got to keep handing it off?
Yeah,
Stomp them
why was your
motherfuckers into the ground.
Your completion percentage in the third quarter was for shit.
This is not the son I raised. Yeah, you're a
You
champion.
can throw for 300 yards. What the hell? Oh, this dude had 3 touchdown passes in the first half.
No, hats off to him, man. I mean, and again, I'm looking forward to see what's going on. And anybody that wants to keep doubting that man, he's going to keep shutting you up. So
I mean, I bet against him, and it didn't fucking work for me.
We can keep riding Tom Brady's dick as much as we want, but you know we've got to move on. The season's moved on. Why you keep bringing up old shit, Zach?
I mean, he's got a sweet Peter. What do you want me to say?
No, again, that goes to the fluids that come off of Giselle that soak that cock of glory.
I mean, but I don't know, man. Maybe this is going to be dark, but maybe the sweet juices are from Mama Brady. Right. Maybe the actual sweet juices, they're from Tom Brady's senior.
Sweet mother of God. We've gone there.
I mean,
we've got to move on. We've got to move on. The season's moved on. We're going into the new season. Everybody's kind of down right now, but we got free agency. We got the NFL draft coming up in a couple of months. I want to go ahead and jump into free agency because I think right now we have one of the biggest free agency market that we've seen in a while. Right now,
it's pretty big. I mean, there's a big name quarterback that's out there. There's a couple wide receivers. There's some pretty good cornerbacks that are available. I mean,
you mentioned a big quarterback. I want to jump straight into that. And you know me, I haven't been a Cowboys fan. As I've gotten older in age, you know, I don't want to say I respect them, but I don't have that same type of hatred that I had. But Dak Prescott is coming up for free agency, coming off a franchise tag on a year that he was out majority of it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's coming off of not this season, but the last season was a career year for him.
Absolutely.
And then in the fantasy world, Dak Prescott was the highest averaging quarterback for fantasy points for I don't know if it's 3 or 4 weeks that he was available until he died, but he was like, no joke, he was averaging like 51.5 points a game in our dynasty league. So the dude was on point. Highest completion percentage, most passing yards to that point. I mean, are we going to – like, there's no way the Cowboys don't sign him, right?
The rumor is right now, or the scary thing that keeps being brought up is that they're expecting to sign him put another franchise tag on him. Now, if you're Dak Prescott, are you happy with that? Or do you understand because of the fact, like, fuck, I was out this last year. He was on a good pace to probably beat the previous season.
He was on a career year again.
But at the same time, I think because of the performance that he's had since he's come into the league, he's kind of got Jerry by the nuts right now to where if he says, yo, dude, I'm going to go test the market, Jerry's going to he has to jump on it, right?
I hope for Dak Prescott that he does test the market because I think you're right. I think he has the leverage right now. And, you know, as Mike Golick used to say, anytime you have the time to swing the leverage hammer, swing that motherfucker. Yeah. And so I feel like if he ever was going to swing the hammer, it's now. But on top of that, we also know the Dallas Cowboys history. DeMarco Murray led the league in rushing, but also led the league in carries and touches. And they let him walk. And now it turned out to be the correct decision.
Right.
But I remember every swinging dick that had a microphone was ready to grill the Dallas Cowboys for not signing him, for basically using him up, burning through everything he had, and then just letting him go. But, I mean, it turned out to be the right move. And now I know running backs are a different breed than quarterbacks, but it's still in the realm of possibilities that the Dallas Cowboys just say, you know what? fuck him, let him go.
And this is why I'm going to say that is a horrible decision on Dallas' part, because there's two teams you got to worry about right now. Okay, one is within their division, the Washington football team. If you let that man go there with that type of building offense and that stout defense, Dallas will never hear the end of it. Jerry Jones will be run out of Dallas. They'll kick him out of his own stadium, because I guarantee
it's very possible that they burn that stadium down if he goes to the Redskins or he goes to the I mean, he's not going to go to the Eagles because Jalen Hurts is the man there. And he's not going to the Giants. I don't know. He could go to the Giants. If I'm the Giants and Dak Prescott's out there versus Daniel Jones, I'm taking Dak Prescott.
But again, you've also got to start looking at your future cap space with Saquon Barkley finishing up his rookie contract.
Their window is closing because they're going to have to pay that man.
But if they do let him go and he doesn't go to Washington, the secret assassin's right there, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick takes him in a heartbeat. The whole NFL will fucking hate Jerry Jones after that.
I could not even imagine how good Dak Prescott would be in New England.
I'm getting chills thinking about that.
I'm not even kidding. I have him right now because I never even thought of that.
Look, and maybe it's because of the uniform he currently wears, but as a player, like, I could fully get behind Dak Prescott in a Patriots uniform under Bill Belichick with some of the free agents that we're going to go over. If they can get them for the right price, oh my.
And then plus what we've already talked about, the Patriots had 19 players on their COVID reserve list that opted out for the season.
Yep.
Right. They lost 7 or 8 starters on defense and still finished 7-9 and had a shot at making the playoffs with busted ass Cam Newton as their quarterback.
Yep.
But on top of what you're saying, Dak Prescott fits the mold for a New England Patriots player.
Exactly.
He's not boastful. He doesn't run his mouth. He shows up. He does his work. He is the epitome of what the Patriots dynasty is to everyone else in the NFL. I never thought about Dak Prescott going to New England. That's
fuck it. I'm calling it now.
Wow,
Jerry fucks up the world, and Dak Prescott in 2021 will be a New England Patriot.
I'm going to say that doesn't happen. I'm going to say that the Cowboys open up the wallet.
I'm putting my chips all in on that one.
Well, you know what? We'll put it on the board. We'll write it down. We'll come back in August. And if Dak Prescott is taking snaps for the New England Patriots, then I feel like the Bills fucked up.
The one thing that will solidify my decision on this in the draft. If we see Dallas trade up, you better believe that they're drafting a quarterback.
I don't know. Like when do they have to sign Dak?
That's a good question.
I guess you can. It doesn't matter as long as it's before OTAs.
Right,
he's good, right? So
I want to say, and I might be completely wrong on this. I want to say signing of free agents can happen
almost any time, right?
Mid-March, I think.
That's when they first can. Yeah. I think the
mid-March to the end of March.
Day, the first official day of the new season, I think, is mid-March. I think you're right. Maybe it's April 3rd. Like the beginning of April, I don't know. But either way, it's definitely before the draft.
But that's something that everybody needs to keep a close eye on. Whether you're
where is Dallas drafting? Like, what is their draft? Are they 7? Is that what it was?
I think you're right.
I know we looked earlier, but I just don't think that they have a lot to. I don't think we should even. I'm going to even entertain that. I feel like they're going to sign Dak. I feel like he's earned it. He epitomizes the NFL. He's a good guy. He does everything right. Like I can't knock him.
Right.
He's great. Like
he's a great leader.
Oh, 100%. Those guys in the locker room, they respect the hell out of that guy.
Well, it also shows too, whenever he got injured, the life of that team got sucked out. Like you saw Zeke playing at a lower level. The O-line, the defense, they try to step up to try to make for it, but they're only working with a 3-legged dog, in my opinion. He gets around, but he's not completely mobile.
And
Dallas is at number 10 in the draft.
Yeah, I see that. I feel like, Andy Dalton was subpar. I mean, he's a good backup, and I feel like it shows a lot about the Cowboys team they lost their leader, they lost their main man, and they were down for a while, which is completely understandable, But I feel like that team towards the end of the season, they rallied together, even with Andy Dalton's shortcomings, and the defense played better down the stretch. And Andy Dalton actually played pretty well down the stretch, the last 5 or 6 games.
Except
hell, they had a
the
shot.
times they got the concussions or whatever.
Yeah, they had a shot to make the playoffs.
Fucking Ben DiNucci didn't step up, that cocksucking motherfucker.
Well, that
with,
hit.
With a name like DiNucci, you just say I'm a badass. Nope.
No, that didn't work that way. But the hit on Andy Dalton was vicious, obviously. But yeah, I don't know, man. That scares me, saying that New England is gonna get to Dak.
It could happen.
That makes that team instantly like almost the contender.
Absolutely. But I would love to see 2 times a season Dak versus Josh Allen.
Yeah, that would be that would be great. As long as Josh Allen continues to be the Josh Allen of 2020, because
I think
the Josh Allen of 2018 and 2019 wasn't shit.
Well, also remember, Josh Allen did get him on down to the wild card against the Texans and should have won that game.
Yeah, I feel like inexperience and maybe some
that was bad coaching
issues
at the end. Towards the end, where I believe they were on the 25 and had a chance to win the game, and they blew it off. And you could even see, I remember seeing Josh Allen just highly pissed off with the decision making on it, whether it was his or the coaches. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You mentioned it already with Tampa Bay. Next up, we got Chris Godwin being up as a free agent. Real quick, you see him staying? You see him going?
There's a lot of euphoria around winning the Super Bowl. That kind of makes it to where you feel at home, you feel comfortable. That's the only team he's ever been on, right?
Yep, Chris drafted by him.
So I don't know. Because the business side of it for me is something that I don't fully pay attention to. I don't follow that. It's honestly just not as much fun as just watching the games. Right. But there's the part of you that enjoys winning. There's the part of you that also realizes this is a business and I need to cash in when I can. I would say, had they not won the Super Bowl, but he was as productive as he was a season ago, I would say he's leaving, because a season ago he had 1,000 yards receiving, and I feel like was a hot commodity. Probably would have got paid pretty well. Obviously he's a decent sized, speedy wide receiver with great hands, so he would have commanded a big contract on the free agent market. But I don't think you can discount winning. I think Tom Brady coming back to this franchise is a huge shot in the arm to free agents. And maybe Chris Godwin comes back and, maybe you lose Antonio Brown, but who's to say that you don't pick up another wide receiver? Who's to say AJ Green doesn't decide that he wants to go be something, you know what I mean? So
it's like a geriatric farm there, is just rebuilding them.
Yeah, I think it just depends on who Chris Godwin is. Is he a guy that wants to win while he can, or is he a guy that, hey, I got my ring, I played pretty well, I was a starter on the team, and I earned my ring. Now I want to go get paid.
So the way I look at the Godwin situation is, you go back a year ago. If I remember correctly, Mike Evans had a couple of injuries throughout the 2019 season, to where Chris Godwin got to step up and be the number 1 wide receiver, right? So you move into 2020, you got Tom Brady now. He's getting a little bit more excited. Gronkowski joins. Okay. And then you got a fully healthy Mike Evans. And now you have Antonio Brown coming in. And now you have somebody who went from a 2 to a 1, back to a 2, dropped down to a 3, and maybe even a 4, right? So he might be a one and done kind of guy and think, you know what, I need to go test the market and go see where I can be a number 1, because I am a number 1. Right. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The mindset of Chris Godwin is what we'd have to monitor. He's not, well, I haven't noticed him to be one of those guys. He's not like a Juju Smith-Schuster.
No, very quiet,
throwing everything around. He's just he seems so far to just be a go to work, get it done kind of guy. And that makes me think that he goes back to Tampa Bay. I don't know if the winning would give you a discount because, you know, it happens every year in the salary cap era. You win the Super Bowl, and then the next season you got to cut a bunch of guys because you just can't afford them anymore.
Right.
We saw that with the Rams. The Rams went all out, signed Ndamukong Suh, who happens to play for Tampa Bay now.
Had a great game.
You know, they went all out, signed all these guys. They did make it to the Super Bowl, but they couldn't close the deal. But still, you know, a lot of guys were lost due to the salary cap. So we'll have to see how much room they have with the salary cap, which guys they actually are able to get rid of. But yeah, like you said, I think it depends on Chris Godwin. What does he want to do? If he wants to win, but then the other thing is he's going to sign a long-term deal, get paid, and Brady's only got one more year on his contract.
So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and play the negative on this end and say that Chris Godwin doesn't sign with Tampa Bay, and he stays in the state and goes to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence comes over there. He becomes their number one, and Penn State alumni with Clemson, seeing how them two roll together under Urban Meyers, it wouldn't be a bad connection, right?
No, but then I guess then that plays to he wants to be the man. If he goes to Jacksonville, it's a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach. He's a veteran wide receiver who just won a Super Bowl. I mean, he's going to command a lot of respect there.
And
yeah,
you
there's
play
not
open
another
market
wide receiver.
without all those big names, you stand a chance of getting a bigger contract.
Well, true, but then also I think you have to realize on that side of it, if they tie up that much money in you, where are they going to be able to spend money anywhere else to shore up that roster? Because yeah, you have the appeal of getting the Trevor Lawrence draft pick, and you have the appeal of having Urban Meyer as, you know, one of the greatest college coaches now come in, but that team sucked last year, right? Like, it's not, I mean, the Jets were terrible. The Jaguars were terrible. I mean, it's not like you're going into a team that was 8-8 and on the cusp. You're going into a team that might not make the playoffs for 2 years.
True.
And you're in a division with the Tennessee Titans, who just had the offensive player of the year in Derrick Henry, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. I mean, their quarterback is he's probably average. I mean, but they think he's their guy, and I don't see anybody else in that division challenging them.
Not at the moment.
I don't think Jacksonville is a wide receiver away from challenging for the division. So,
well, to give you a little food for thought, Jacksonville's walking into this draft with 2 first-round picks. So we can see what they can build off of that. And again, we keep testing the free agency market and see what they can pick up from there, because you might be able to snag some O-line dirt cheap. You may be able to get some defensive players.
There are a couple of free agent tackles and guards that are out there that have the pedigree to be guys that you just plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
But like, same thing though, you know, a left tackle is going to command a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the
don't base that off the Tunsil deal. Don't.
Well, right. I mean, and you know, Laremy Tunsil was going to get paid. When you pay that much to another team to take their left tackle, I mean, you're kind of bound to that guy. And I also think that, once again, Laremy Tunsil and his agent, they're like, you know what? We got the Texans over a barrel. They just traded a king's ransom for us.
They bid the Texans over the barrel, didn't 100%. Spit on it, and just went elbow deep on
that
them.
That was full, like all 5.5 inches raw steel. That's what that was. I mean, they broke it off.
Zach, what's your take on Allen Robinson?
See, that was what I was going to go to. I feel like if Jacksonville could get both of those guys, now we're talking about something, because they got the rookie running back. What's his last name? Was Robinson?
Yeah.
I mean, he came on the last 7 weeks of the season and was stellar. Granted, he's a rookie, so who's to say that he doesn't lose a step or change based on the offense, because he's going to have all new offensive coordinators. But I mean, in the NFL, raw talent at running back just kind of translates. So I think he'll probably be okay. But having veteran leadership in Chris Godwin and Allen Robinson on the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, that I think is enough to overcome what the Titans have. I mean, I don't think the Texans are trading Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's going to happen. They've come out and said as much, but
he's not going anywhere.
I agree with you. But I think Trevor Lawrence, if he is as highly touted as they're putting this on him, and you give him 2 veteran wide receivers and a good running game, I mean, instantly there's something to talk about because winning that division is a possibility.
With that offense right now, we all expect Trevor Lawrence to go number 1 to Jacksonville, right? James Robinson as a running back. DJ Chark Jr. We always forget about Chark.
I mean, I think there's a reason why we forget about him. I mean, he might have been a flash in the pan. I don't know. I mean, the pedigree of wide receiver at LSU obviously is pretty damn good. I mean,
look what Justin Jefferson did.
Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
This guy, I mean, that's some talent there. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it was the quarterback because the quarterbacks haven't been very good. I mean, who was their best quarterback?
Garner.
Yeah, I guess Garner Minshew, the mustache. He's the only guy that actually seemed like he could get that offense going. But at the end of the day, they were 1-15 for a reason, and he's a part of that reason.
So back to the Allen Robinson, you're picking Jacksonville on that one?
No. I was just kind of spitballing the hypothetical that if they were somehow able to wrangle both of those guys and the 2 draft picks in the first round, I mean, that kind of puts them at an advantage. But Allen Robinson's kind of a mouthy guy. He likes to be in the spotlight. He likes to be the man. Mm-hmm. I would say that, I mean, he's not going back to Chicago. Like, that's not happening. Who needs a wide receiver?
The Jets, the Texans.
But who needs a wide receiver that is somebody that is actually desirable? Because that's the other thing. When you're an unrestricted free agent, you can pick your paradise.
True.
So, I mean, are the Texans, like if you were a free agent wide receiver that's, as talented as Allen Robinson, you really think that Houston is a place that you'd want to land or I mean, Cincinnati is a place that you would want to go? I mean.
So let's go into make-believe land and say that you're the GM or you're a wide receiver. GM for the Texans calls you and says, hey, look, we've got Deshaun on board. He is full committed to the team. You come, it's going to be you, Brandon Cooks, and somebody else. You signing on?
I mean, seeing the front office dumpster fire, probably not.
But Deshaun Watson's going to give you the stats and the points that you deserve.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. But then also I'm going to have to go into an organization where I'm trusting these assholes to make the right draft picks. I mean, granted, they don't have a first-round draft pick, but, I mean, they still have to hit on the draft picks that they have.
How about this? You ready?
Yeah.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Man, that's good. I mean,
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert, obviously offensive rookie of the year. I mean, he averaged 320 yards a game. They have the Austin Eckler running back who's pretty good. But one free agent that we hadn't talked about yet is Hunter Henry.
Ooh.
He's a free agent. And every quarterback's best friend right after a good running game is a stout tight end.
You don't let him go. You don't let him go.
To be fair, I think in the Chargers' favor is the fact that he hasn't really been healthy his whole career. So you know what you have in him, and the NFL has kind of seen some flashes of who he is, but you really haven't seen him put it together for 16 games. So maybe you can retain him at a cheaper rate and sign him to a 3-year deal. And then you have the cap space to go after an Allen Robinson. But then you have Allen Robinson on the other side with the big wide receiver that I just forgot about his name that's on my dynasty team that I can't even remember, Mike Williams. Mm-hmm. There we go. You have him on one side who's like the jump ball go get it guy. And then Allen Robinson is another guy who could be a number one on most teams. That's a stout threat there.
That's a deadly offense right there.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've got to ride with that one because I agree with you on the fact that he's not going to go back to Chicago. Chicago is just as much as a dumpster fire as the Jets or the Texans or anything like that.
I feel like Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Kenny Golladay, who's a free agent also, I feel like those guys are going to be looking at teams that were in the playoffs that had good quarterbacks. I mean, I of the playoff teams, I don't think anybody wants to go to Seattle. They've got a pretty good duo there. I don't think anybody wants to go to. Well, I don't think any of these guys. Maybe Kenny Golladay would want to go to Green Bay. Because I mean, you see, Aaron Rodgers is unbelievable, and you know that the coverage is going to be rolled to Devontae Adams' side. There's no way around that. And then the tight end, the Toyin guy, he looks pretty good. And we don't even have to talk about the running game. We know the running game, but they have basically 3 capable running backs in Aaron Rodgers.
But see, there's the factor that we don't know. The future of Aaron Rodgers, we're still unsure of this day, right?
I don't know if he just didn't do that to stir the pot. I mean, he's kind of that guy where he wants the attention on him. Maybe he was jealous that all we're talking about is, Deshaun Watson, who's never done anything.
Yep.
And he gets no love. Like, I guess maybe we just assumed he was just going to stay in Green Bay. They were that close to the Super Bowl again. I mean, I don't see any reason why he would go anywhere.
Let's play devil's advocate and say he goes ahead and lays it down. Jordan Love
lays it down as far as like retires
because I don't see him in another jersey. I don't see him.
Well, no, because there's no way the GM of Green Bay trades Aaron Rodgers. No. That doesn't happen.
Then again, the NFL was shocked whenever Brett Favre got traded because everybody swore up and down that he was going to retire a Packer and then gets traded out.
Well, I mean, the way that I remember that was him dragging it out, saying, I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to play, and then pissing off Aaron Rodgers, and then he did retire, but then asked for his release so he could go play with Minnesota, and then he played with the Jets, or maybe vice versa, whatever.
Right.
I mean, he was kind of a prick about it.
I could see Aaron Rodgers being it because he's got the persona of being a jackass.
He was at UCLA. Yeah, he was a prick back then. But Cal, wherever the fuck he went, he was a prick.
Let's say he leaves or retires, whichever one. Do you think any free agent quarterback is going to trust a second-year quarterback with no true experience on a regular season field?
No.
Yeah, so that's the key factor that goes into a lot of these wide receiver free agencies. It's all about the foundation at quarterback, right?
I agree 100%.
They want to go to Kansas City, they want to go to Tampa Bay, they want to go wherever, but also cap space comes into play, current contracts come into play. Then you start looking at the other teams, like you said, in the playoffs. Do you go to the Bills? Do you go to the Ravens? Do you go to the Titans?
I don't think you're going to the Bills. I think that team's pretty much set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was looking at the roster. I don't really see any holes in that team. I mean, maybe the tight end position is kind of lacking, but I like the Knox kid. I think he's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he did have that one stiff arm heard around the world.
It's hard to have such a dominating tight end. Zach Ertz was it at one point. Kelsey has taken the reins on it. Hunter Henry is up there within the top 5 tight ends currently on the field. Darren Warren with the Raiders, in my opinion, this past season is the number one.
I'm with you. Darren Waller is phenomenal. And then now Jason Witten stepping out. And now he's just going to be I guess he's going to be a consultant and
he's the tight end head coach or the tight end coach for the Raiders.
I think he's going to be like an offensive consultant also for the coordinator. So I feel like that really helps Waller because watching Jason Witten play, I mean, athletically, he's kind of limited. He's not a fast guy.
He's a boss.
Yeah, he's not making cuts and making people miss. He catches the ball and he falls down. That's kind of what he does. Darren Waller is the opposite. He's the guy that's going to make you miss in the open field, and that's the kind of stuff you can't really coach.
Right.
But precision route running, understanding where the holes are in the zone, that's all stuff that Jason Witten is going to be able to help Darren Waller with. And I think that makes Derek Carr even more dangerous, even though they talked about trading his ass too.
Yeah, and
we'll
see.
I feel like if Derek Carr leaves there, that's a pretty desirable spot for a quarterback.
I know we're kind of veering off track of it, but did you hear about the rumors of Mariota possibly going to the Patriots?
No, I didn't. I'm a big fan of Marcus Mariota because not necessarily because he's done anything in the NFL, but he's just always been, he says the correct thing. He's not an asshole. And I feel like that, for whatever reason, that goes a long way in the NFL as a guy that he knows his role. He knows what he's supposed to do. He played in one game last year and he was ready.
Yeah.
When that spotlight turned on, he showed up.
He's pretty much your guy that if shit's going south, you want him in front of the microphone to calm people down.
Yeah, and I think maybe the sample size is a little bit too small for him. I mean, he was in Tennessee for a couple of years as a starter, and they obviously knew that they didn't have what they needed for him, or he just wasn't the right fit for them. But I feel like he's not a starting quarterback. He's probably a backup quarterback. And so maybe he doesn't help the Patriots as much. But that reminds me of one other free agent that is definitely a journeyman quarterback and a stopgap for some of these young draft picks that might be out there. It's Fitzmagic.
Yes, sir.
Where's he going to go? I mean, I feel like if you plug him into Indianapolis is a wild card tomorrow.
I want to get behind that. I want to get behind Fitz in Indy because, like you said, he travels around. Everywhere he's gone, he has left his mark in some form or fashion. I think he's trying to collect all 32 teams, right? Like he's trying to be Thanos and collecting the Infinity Stones. He's trying to collect something with each team, right? Like, so this next team he goes to is going to be what, his, I don't know, 15th team?
I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. But I feel like he's the modern day Vinny Testaverde. He's like, yeah, whatever. Somebody wants to give me a contract, fuck it, I'll play for him.
And he's praised on his football IQ. He's tested one of the highest, and
he has a perfect score on the Wonderlic test. He's like the only person ever to do that.
And the crazy thing is, the reason why he's still able to float around is because he does something good, right? He's not just some shitty quarterback that bounces around from practice squad to practice squad or anything like that. Like when he goes on a team, he's practically the starter when he hits there, right?
Well, I mean, even this past season with Miami, when Tua would struggle, I guess is the right word. When he wasn't performing, there was a game where they just pulled Fitzmagic off the bench. He won the fucking game.
Exactly.
Right, and that was on a team that was 9-7, I think. Mm-hmm. They had a shot at the playoffs, and I feel like he can plug and play in almost any NFL offense because he's smart enough to pick it up. He's been in the league long enough to know most of everything. He's seen every blitz that's been thrown at him. I feel like Indianapolis is a good spot. If Indy can't get Andrew Luck to come out of returement, because
he's not coming out of retirement. I don't care what you say.
At.
He's not coming out of retirement.
I agree with you.
That dude has a tomato farm going right now.
Right.
And he's making Andrew Luck pasta sauce.
Well, yeah, like he's at home, he's making babies, he's doing goat yoga or whatever. I mean, he's happy being retired. And I feel like it's selfish of us as NFL fans to just be like, dude, just come out, play a little bit more. We want to see that Andrew Luck stuff. Because that guy, I'm not a Colts fan by any means, but quarterbacks are near and dear to my heart. And that guy, he played the game right. He stood in the pocket. He didn't give a shit who was hitting him, where they were going to hit him. He was holding on to the ball and throwing it to the right spot at the right time, regardless of what happened to his body. And to me, that's the kind of guy that, like, I mean, even the defense would stand up and watch that guy play. You know what I mean? They would, everybody, if somebody did a cheap shot on him, not that they would, because everyone in the NFL respects that motherfucker to the end, but you knew that if somebody tried to hit him dirty, like the fucking water boy was running onto the field to fight for that motherfucker. Like he is, if he had played 5 more seasons and won a Super Bowl, I mean, I think no doubt first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, hands down. And you know what the weird thing is the small window that he played, I still think he's gonna get in the Hall of Fame. But
I don't
it's
think
gonna be
so.
like super late though.
Well, so I kind of feel like he didn't play long enough, and I kind of feel like him and Tony Romo are in the same boat, where they're likable guys. We talked about him a lot. The media loves him. All the fans love the guys, but they don't have the substance of the career. And we talked about this off mic, but I feel like right now, well, this is prior to Peyton getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, but there are 26 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. 26 quarterbacks for the history of the game.
That's a pretty small window.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of a slap in the face to guys like, Phil Simms or like a John Elway or, I mean, even Peyton Manning. I feel like it's kind of definitely Johnny Unitas or Terry Bradshaw. It's kind of slap in the face to those guys of, man, we grinded it out. We busted our ass for an entire career. These guys were in the league for 8, 9, 10 years in Tony Romo's case. And Andrew Luck and Tony Romo both got hurt.
Right.
And then Tony Romo, I think, decided to hang it up because he had a pretty serious back injury. I think he made the correct move. Andrew Luck just got tired of just getting the shit kicked out of him. And, I can understand how that can wear on somebody. So, but to turn around and put those guys in the Hall of Fame, I just don't think it's warranted. I say that, and Terrell Davis made the Hall of Fame. I'm a huge Broncos fan, and that guy was straight fire for 4 years.
Right.
But I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he did it long enough.
Only time will tell for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll never actually know until they're on the ballot, and we'll see, how the voting goes. I feel like both of them probably might get in just because they're well liked. They played at a high level for, multiple seasons. Calvin Johnson made the Hall of Fame, and he had an abbreviated career. And I guess that's how you make the Hall of Fame if you're a Detroit Lion. You only play till you're 30 and you just fucking hang it up because otherwise they're just going to tear your shit up.
So Matt Stafford's doing it wrong then, huh?
Well, Matt Stafford took the first opportunity to get the fuck out of there.
11 years later, but...
Well, but to be fair, I kind of feel like he probably felt like, you know what, you're going to give me $72 million as a rookie. Maybe I can give you 2 contracts.
Right.
Because he kind of just seems like that guy. But you know what we didn't talk about? And maybe this is something that should be addressed. People are giving Deshaun Watson all kinds of shit for saying he wants out.
Okay.
And it's public. He's been lied to by the franchise multiple times. They don't value his opinion on where the franchise is going. So he said, fuck it, I want out.
Right.
But Matthew Stafford, he's been in the league a little bit longer than Deshaun, obviously. He's been there for 2 contracts. But he told the Lions that he wants out. And the Lions front office was like, you know what, we're happy with what you've given us, and we understand that we're not in a position to win. So we'll grant you that. So we'll trade you to a mutually agreed place and let you go try to win. What's the difference between what Matt Stafford did and what Deshaun Watson's doing? I don't see the difference.
So there's a number of things that fall into place, in my opinion, that make it to where what Stafford did cannot be criticized compared to Deshaun Watson. Matt Stafford, from what we know, without living in Detroit and reading their newspapers and stuff like that, never complained about the coaching staff that came through. And he was given a bunch of shitty coaches throughout his 11 years there, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean that comes with the territory, because how many quarterbacks have the Detroit Lions had the last 30 years? You know,
Right.
they're just a perennial shitty team. That's just what happens.
You tax on probably they've had just as many GMs. Their draft class outside of well, Calvin Johnson was there before he got drafted by 2 years. But I mean, outside of Calvin Johnson, the draft class there has not been something that people really talk about, right? Now, the same thing can be said about the Texans too. Like, they haven't come out and gotten superstar wide receivers of this and that since Deshaun's gotten there. But you also look at, like, Deshaun Watson is a completely different breed of quarterback compared to Matt Stafford, right?
Oh, 100%. I didn't mean to compare their talent level. I mean, I feel like we still haven't even seen the best from Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I feel like we have seen the best from Matthew Stafford.
Well, we talked about it last time. I think that we did see some of the best for Matt Stafford, but I think going and getting a new life somewhere else, we're going to see an even better Matt Stafford. But back to
and I feel like that's just going to be inherent because the team is just way better.
Well, and Sean McVay is I think
he's a genius.
He really is, and I think he's going to be able to communicate with Stafford, because Stafford's been around long enough to understand the lingo and what needs to be
Stafford's
done.
a pretty smart guy too. I mean, he's not, obviously he's been in the league on a shitty team and they didn't cut him or get rid of him. So, I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing.
Exactly. And that goes back to your question. Like, he swam through miles and miles and years of shit. That's why when when he went to the line and said, "Hey, look, I want out," they're like, "Well, fuck, dude, you have every right to do this, right?"
So basically, you're comparing the Detroit Lions franchise to the Shawshank fucking prison.
Absolutely. He went through miles of shit, probably stopped a few times, threw up. I mean, fuck, the dude played with what, a broken collarbone?
Well, I mean, that's why I love Matthew Stafford. There's that one play, I think he dislocated his left shoulder
and pops
he
back.
Called a timeout so that he could come back on the field, and then threw a touchdown pass to win the game and gave the finger to everybody. Like, so, that guy,
like, the integrity of that guy is not matched, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no question that dude's a solid leader. But one thing that stuck out to me that you just brought up, it's weird how eerily similar the Detroit Lions franchise and the Houston Texans franchise have been the last 20 years.
Right.
And they both had, I mean, I'm not going to say that either one of the quarterbacks are Hall of Fame contenders, but they are definitely top 10 quarterbacks at one point in their league. Deshaun is currently, probably the number 4, number 5 quarterback in the league. Matthew Stafford's probably at, 12 or 13, but at one point was, 8 or 9. So
right,
kind of close. Calvin Johnson obviously now is a Hall of Fame wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is for sure a Hall of Fame wide receiver. They had those two guys. And now the Detroit Lions, they don't really stick out as any running back that they've had during the span. I mean, the Texans had Arian Foster, so I mean, obviously he was pretty good.
All right.
But it's weird how both of those franchises are just like places where your career just goes to die.
You're forgetting my man Andre Johnson too, but that's another.
But I feel like that was in the past.
True.
I guess I did say 20 years because that was just encompassing the entire Houston Texans franchise as a whole. But I mean, even in the last 10 years since Matthew Stafford's been drafted, we'll say they've taken very similar trajectories. I think the Lions have made the playoffs one time.
3 times, and they lost all 3.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, but the Texans have very similar fates. I mean, they made the playoffs, I think, 5 times in their history. Only one time they were 13-3, and Matt Schaub blew off his foot, so that kind of screwed that whole deal. That's probably the best team out of the two. That 13-3 season for the Houston Texans was the closest that they ever were.
I still blame it on Matt Schaub buying everybody those fucking Letterman jackets.
Well, I mean, you can blame it on that, but at the end of the day, TJ Yates was your fucking quarterback in the playoffs. That's That's just
Hey,
garbage.
that dude is a well-respected quarterback coach now. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, he has to be because he wasn't a good quarterback. So those that can't do teach, right? Isn't that what they say?
Right.
So
So go on.
I just, I mean, I don't really know if I had a point at that. I just thought it was weird that they've done almost the exact same thing for 10 years and both franchises are still profitable. How the fuck is that possible?
Well, I mean, when football came back to Houston, everybody was super stoked, and that's the only reason I can say that. Now that they're somewhat profitable because of Deshaun Watson, and I think prior to him, DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt carried that torch to keep football in Houston exciting, right? Outside of that, nothing. But to finish up with your original question on it, I agree with those fans that get pissed off with Deshaun Watson acting this way. Sure, they drug their nuts on him and promised him this and that, but I mean, dude, come on, you're a 4-year quarterback now. You've got to step up and prove something to say this is what you deserve. All right. Again, like we've talked to in the past, I haven't heard of any other story similar to this to where even owner is coming out and saying a quarterback sat in our meetings for GMs and head coaching positions, and we took their 2 cents, and you know what? We went on with what they said. I can't say I've ever heard that, and I could be wrong, right?
Well, I feel like that move there should open the eyes to everyone else in the NFL. The Texans are a dumpster fire.
Well, they're idiots.
They don't know how to run a franchise.
They don't, and that's why I still say to this day, as a Texans fan, I think Cal McNair needs to sell the team to somebody who actually gives a fuck. Get rid of Jack Easterby. Jack Easterby has so much fucking negativity on him from the Sports Illustrated article, the new videos of him coming out doing like some type of like sales pitch to people at churches or some shit like that. I don't know. The front office, as far as the vice president and the owner of the team, are destroying this team as a whole, and either sell the team or just lose all your money, man.
Yeah, well, and like you said earlier, the fans for the Texans continue to show up. They continue. I mean, obviously this year they couldn't sell out the stadium, but before this season, every game is sold out. All the season tickets, like the season tickets, has a 25-year wait list and all that kind of crazy stuff. So, yeah, and until you start hurting teams in the pocketbook, they're not going to give a shit. They're just going to put a subpar product out there, and they're just going to reap the benefits. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like when you start turning to your 4-year quarterback for GM advice, it's clear you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Absolutely.
And I think that hurts them for any free agent, any head coach. That's why they had to get a rookie head coach. He's a rookie head coach that's 65 years old, that's been in the NFL for 35 years.
Yep.
There's a reason why that dude hasn't got a head coaching job yet.
To give you some homework, just to make the sting even worse, I want you to look at their dead cap. I want you to look at the money that they're spending on people that aren't even on the fucking team anymore.
It's
you told
me
fucking
it's a lot.
Disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And now if you go ahead and trade Deshaun Watson, because I'm sure they're going to fuck up the trade anyways and make it to where they still float the fucking bill for that man. And see, now you got me. We went way off topic.
I was going to say, I know that the Texans are near and dear to your heart, but apparently this turned into a fucking Texans podcast.
Right.
But I have one more thing just on this topic, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So we said earlier, if the Cowboys don't sign Dak, they might run Jerry Jones out of town and burn down that $1 billion stadium that you built.
Okay.
Well, if the Texans trade Deshaun Watson, I hope for Houston Texans football, I hope the fans burn down the fucking stadium, because there's no way that by trading Deshaun Watson, there's no way that you're making your team better unless you get like 6 or 7 first-round draft picks, and ain't nobody paying that.
No, I no matter what the trade comes out on this, if Deshaun Watson gets traded, the Houston Texans fan base cannot be happy with anything. Okay, look what happened. Prime example. Okay, they loved and praised Matt Schaub for the years that he was here. What happened his final season with us? Do you remember?
They showed up at his house ready to kick his ass.
They were death threats.
That's fucked up, man. He's, to this day, Deshaun Watson is the most talented quarterback the Texans have ever had. But Matt Schaub, he owns all the passing records. That's the best quarterback you ever fucking had. He was on the best team they ever had, and this town was ready to whip his ass outside of his house. How fucked up is that?
That's what I'm saying. And the crazy part is they're not going to go to Cal's house on this. They're not going to go to Jack Easterby's house on this. They're
Right.
going to
Why
find
the
fucking
fuck
Deshaun
not?
Watson and be like, why the fuck you leaving us, man? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, see, that's the wrong mentality. And I think that's why the franchise continues to fuck up every move that they make, because no one holds them accountable.
I think it's the chemical plants off the ship channel. Those fumes have gone over the city of Houston, which has fucking warped their fucking brains.
It's very possible, man.
Well,
but
we've got to stick on to the Texans for one more minute. Real quick, your thought, where he's going, if he's staying, if he's going, Will Fuller.
No, Will Fuller, he's going to re-sign with the Texans after having the positive test for performance-enhancing drugs and he missed the last 4 games of the season. It went really quiet under the radar because the Texans weren't worth a shit at the time, so nobody cares. I think he's still suspended for the first game of next season. I don't think he showed too much in the last 2 seasons. It's weird that the first season that he's actually healthy enough to finish a fucking season, he's on PEDs.
Right.
So I feel like he's just going to come back to the Texans. He's going to come back into the fold for Houston. I feel like there's no other suitor for him, but the Texans will still overpay for his ass.
So that's what I was going to go to. First off, you know who their strength coach is, right?
No.
Brian Cushing.
Yeah, it's Brian douchebag Cushing.
So yeah. he got the meds from him in my theory.
100%, because that guy, we know what happened to him when he was on roids. He was all pro. As soon as he got off the roids, he couldn't stop a fucking puppy dog. Like, I don't know, like that guy was such a big pussy after that.
So I'm with you on the Texans, him staying with the Texans and them overpaying because they're fucking idiots like that. But I also see him going to rehab center, and I know I'm bringing this team back up again, and their dick's not in my mouth. I swear to God, it's not. But I could see him going to the Patriots. The Patriots offer him. The Patriots offer him a lower contract, and he sees that glory. Josh Gordon, prime example, right? Granted, Josh Gordon fucked himself up on that, but can you imagine Dak Prescott, Will Fuller, Sony Michel, Julian Edelman?
Well, like I hear you. I'm just, when you say Will Fuller and think that he's like some hot commodity, like I just don't see it. That guy's a piece of shit.
You take the performance he gave this year, and if it's under fucking testosterone or fucking whatever else, like
he's on the horny goat pills or whatever.
Right,
the fuck it is.
He's fucking spraying deer antler spray on his fucking beanbags.
He's on the clear.
The kid's got speed. His hands have improved over the years.
But I mean, they're still stone hands. Like I feel like he is a shorter, slower Jacoby Jones.
I'll go with that. I
mean, and Jacoby Jones got nothing in free agency. He did win a Super Bowl one time with, the one flash in the pan that Joe Flacco actually had. But
yeah, wasn't he on Denver too?
Jacoby Jones? No, but I mean, he beat Denver.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
Moving on, let's switch over to the other side real quick. Richard Sherman, staying or going?
I think he stays. I think that team is pretty good. He's older, but he fits in their scheme. I think he comes back. I think he signs a smaller contract, obviously, because he's lost a step. He's older. But I think he can still play. I think he is still a viable option. He's probably not playing a lot of man coverage anymore. But, I mean, you put a safety over the top. I mean, he's got the underneath. He's a savvy veteran now. He's a very intelligent guy. I mean, I don't like him personally, right?
But as a player,
you have to respect a man who's been that good at corner for that long.
What do you think about him going to the Bills?
I don't see it. Just because I feel like that team is pretty good. I don't think that they're going to necessarily need to reach out to any of these free agents so much. One big free agent. Well, I guess two big free agents that we haven't talked about that are on the defensive side of the ball both played last night. Shaq Barrett and Levante David. Shaq Barrett is a force. Hold on. Can you pause this?
No, because then I got to end it. I'll just edit it out.
Hey. Well, I ignored your call because we're doing the podcast. No, my mom went and got him. She's getting him. They're gonna go get the boys, and then they're gonna bring Landon, Lauren over here when they pick up Landon. Yeah, normally I do. Yeah, but I called my dad when the gas guy was here because I didn't know how long that was gonna take, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll go get them, no problem." So they're already going to get them. So I thought, well, I'll just do the podcast and I'll heat up the hot tub, and that way, like, they'll go swimming when they get home. No, I haven't even turned it on yet. I had to check with Jerry first to make sure that I could turn it on. He just texted me right before you called saying that it's good to go. And then they're going to try to. And I don't think it takes an hour, but yeah, I'll go turn it on right now. Let me step away from this. Yeah. No, and I'm 100% with that. I didn't realize what time it was already. I thought you weren't. I didn't think you were leaving. Are you leaving work right now? Okay. Well, yeah. Let me go turn the heater on. I got to turn the valves. I'll turn the heater on. But yeah, I can wait for Jerry. Edward.
Yo.
All right. Sorry, I had to go turn the heater on in the spa.
No, you're good.
I didn't realize we had already been talking for like an hour, apparently.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, no, I'm good for a little bit longer. I mean, they're not going to be home for another 40 minutes. So.
Okay. You were talking about Shaquille Barrett and who?
Yeah. Shaq Barrett and Levante David, I think, are going to be very, very big commodities on the free agent market, especially after watching that suffocating performance against Patrick Mahomes. Those guys, they know how to play football. I mean, Shaq Barrett has a nose for the quarterback. I mean, I think he sacked Mahomes 2 times for sure. I thought it might have been 2.5 or 3.
I think there was a total of 3 sacks total. I think he had 1.5 on it.
1.5. Okay. I knew he was in for 2. I didn't know if he got half credit or not, but either way, on the edge, he is a good piece. And what we've seen is having a dominant pass rusher against these quarterbacks is a huge deal. It's more of a like icing on the cake type piece. It's better to have like a foundation first. But I think he's going to be a hot commodity, and I'm not 100% sure that he goes back. It goes back to the same things that we mentioned when we talked about Chris Godwin. Uh, is he going to? Are they going to want to go back to Tampa Bay and sign a big contract or a long-term contract, whatever, when you don't know the future of Tom Brady? I mean, we saw what this team looked like with a mediocre, maybe below average quarterback in Jameis Winston, and they weren't worth anything. Now, granted, a lot of these players weren't on the team either. I mean, these guys were, but the free agents and like the Jason Pierre-Pauls and those kind of guys, like the veteran leadership, those guys weren't there. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm going after Levante David. After I watched the linebacker play for the Broncos this year, Levante David is a huge asset.
Yeah.
I would want that guy on my team. Not only can he stop the run and play, the correct scheme for that, he can cover. I mean, did you see how he shut down Travis Kelce?
Yes.
That guy, he was a man on fire.
That dude hurt Travis Kelce's soul. Like there were parts where Travis Kelce was questioning his career choices.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when Travis Kelce took off his jock strap, he had a thumbprint from Devontae David on his dick. That dude was in his jock all fucking night. That was a great performance. I mean, we knew who Levante David was prior to this. We knew he was a good player. We've seen him perform. But that on the grandest stage, great. I mean, that was phenomenal for Levante David. And you know what? He could be one of those guys also. He won a Super Bowl. Let me get paid. Because he's going to get paid.
Well, and that goes into, like you were saying with the Barrett thing. Barrett's had 2 Super Bowl rings now, one with Denver, one with Tampa Bay. Maybe he's found his home. Maybe he's found a place that he's comfortable with, and he likes the team that's there.
I mean, he won the first one as a role player. Yeah, now he's more of a foundational
more of a standout.
He's more of the franchise kind of guy now. Yeah, and maybe he did find his home. And I mean, Florida's not a bad place to retire. I hear millions of people do it every year. So
yeah, but the fucking hurricane right there is way too high for me.
Well, I mean,
no, don't even compare. Texas, bro. Don't even compare it, because between them and Louisiana, they're getting butt fucked.
This past year, Louisiana got definitely fucked in the ass.
Like I'm surprised we didn't drop down to 49 states.
I mean, I'm shocked that like New Orleans is not still underwater. Like they had 6 hurricanes in the same year. What the fuck is that about? Like, quit it.
I want to touch
Turn that shit off.
I want to touch on 2 more, and then we'll let it go. This is probably an easy one. Juju, staying or going?
Man, you say it's easy, and then I'm thinking, no, I don't think he stays. I think he's gone.
Where to?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I feel like with him, it's the exact same thing. You want to go somewhere where there's a good quarterback and there's good stability, and they have a shot at making the playoffs. I kind of feel like you would want to go to a team that could win their division. So, I mean, you want to stay away from, the AFC West if it's not Kansas City. You want to stay away from, I guess maybe that's the one team that's solidified their division. I mean, maybe you want to stay. So you're not going to Detroit. You're not going to Minnesota.
Well, why not Detroit? That's who I had on my mind. Why not go and start something new, something fresh with Jared Goff? New head coach.
You're going to go from Ben Roethlisberger to Jared Goff, and that's attractive?
So why not stay, though?
I think for the same reason. I think you're not staying because I don't think you can trust that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be there. He's already flirted with retirement 3 years ago. So
let's bring him back up. What about the Chargers?
That's where I would suggest that he should go. But the same thing there is you're going to be a wild card. If you make the playoffs, you're a wild card because you're not beating the Chiefs.
That division is going to be really tough because the way that the Raiders are building up,
the Chiefs, of course. Denver is always a silent assassin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're a couple players away too. I mean, I think all three of those teams are just a couple pieces away from challenging the Chiefs, but it's not one piece. It's like three or four.
And
right? It's close. They can compete for a wild card, no problem, but they're not dethroning the Chiefs.
I don't see them going to Atlanta. I don't see them going to AFC South anywhere. Fuck, man. I mean, New Orleans,
he's a free agent. Who's to say he doesn't go to Cleveland?
And put him where, though? Being number 3?
Who gives a shit? Look at that team.
Well, that's true. That would have to take a lot of convincing to get him to come in there and understand his role, because you've already got a lot of people there that don't understand their roles. Odell, once he left, that's when that team started clicking. You bring Odell back in there with Juju, they're fighting in the locker room every day.
Well, and after I said it, I immediately wanted to,
retract your statement,
because wasn't he talking shit to them in the playoffs?
Who wasn't,
he did that stupid TikTok video where he was dancing on their fucking logo and then they stomped his ass. So now he ain't going to Cleveland.
He's not going to Minnesota.
What about New York? We haven't even talked about the draw that is New York.
As far as the Giants or the Jets, or either?
Well, I would say the Giants more than the Jets, because I think the Jets are just terrible. But I really like Sam Darnold.
Yes, but again, though, it all depends on the draft, because let's say the Jets don't trade for Deshaun Watson and they draft Justin Fields. Okay, is that appealing to you?
Then that means to me that they're trading Sam Darnold. Obviously.
And rumor is there's a lot of teams interested in Sam Darnold right now.
I mean, I can see why. I feel like the guy's a fucking player.
Again, this goes back to what we talked to on the last episode. I think that the right components aren't there. I swear to God, you give him Sean McVay, that's a killer quarterback right there. But we're not going to get to see that because of the current trade, right?
Well, and I feel like Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Right.
I mean, Sam Darnold might have a higher ceiling, but it's going to take some effort to get him there. And he needs a good supporting cast. Right now, obviously, he doesn't have a good supporting cast. The defense in New York for the Jets is actually really good.
Yeah.
They need weapons on offense, and they need an offensive line. But with the draft, that's an intriguing team, right? Because I feel like if I'm the Jets, I wouldn't draft Justin Fields. I feel like what you have in the commodity that is Sam Darnold. I think he's a capable quarterback, and that there's a lot of teams out there that are dying to draft Justin Fields. Why not trade out of that spot, take a page out of the Patriots playbook that everybody tries to duplicate and actually do it, trade back in the draft, get a bunch of draft picks, and draft some of these offensive linemen. The offensive linemen in this draft are pretty good. And I think we found out that drafting offensive line in the first draft or the first round, it's not sexy.
It's not.
But it makes your team better, right? Look what the Cowboys did when they drafted offensive line. And even the Colts. The Colts drafted the Quentin Nelson guy with the 6th overall pick in the first round.
Yep.
Nobody even talks about it. But that dude hasn't missed a game.
That is true.
So, I mean, and the grade on the Quentin Nelson guy was you draft him, you plug him in at guard, and then you revisit it in 18 years, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And I'll be goddamn if that's not exactly what's going on.
That's true.
He is on his way to being one of the best, run blocking. That guy's a freaking bull. I love watching him play. But I feel like if I'm the Jets, there's a couple free agent wide receivers. I'm in New York. I have that draw because that's one thing that we don't talk about. Why are baseball players and basketball players flocking to New York to play? Because they know the world's going to be watching them.
Yeah, just because
the guy who wants the world watching him.
And New York has the grandest stage of them all, right? Regardless of what team the Knicks still have fans and nobody understands why.
Right. Like the Knicks are one of those historic franchises in the NBA, and they hadn't won shit since we've been alive.
Right. The closest they got was when they played the Rockets in the 94 season.
Suck at Ewing. Anyway, Yeah, I feel like that now that we say all that stuff out loud, why would you trade for Deshaun Watson? You can fix that team this draft.
Yeah, you leaving Deshaun Watson alone and keeping what you have and working with that. The Texans hurt more keeping him, and the Jets benefit more by keeping what they got and working with it. And again, like going through this list that we've gone through today in small portions, the wide receiver list out there, these are not chumps, right? And there are ones that we haven't even mentioned, like Corey Davis being on there. Like these are.
Now you said they're not chumps. I think Corey Davis might be in that category.
Okay, so out of everybody we've listed, he's the lowest one on it, right? You still got T.Y. Hilton, right? T.Y. Hilton's out there. So the list of wide receivers out there are not thin. So these guys getting picked up, if they go somewhere else, can only make a team that much better, right? And even if they stay where they're at, they're still going to be top tier, no name.
Yeah. I mean, if Juju stays in Pittsburgh, he's still a top 10 wide receiver.
He doesn't lose any value, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I feel like, Allen Robinson, go to New York, be in the spotlight, get a big contract, use the draft picks, make Sam Darnold look good. I mean, they have the talent to do that. And, the one dark horse I think in all this is Kenny Golladay. I mean, that I feel like that guy is supremely underrated.
You're putting a lot of faith in him, huh?
Well, I feel like he's got the talent. He played on a shitty team and he excelled, but he got hurt a few times. So there is that drawback. So maybe if I'm the Jets, if I can go get a Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe I can get a Kenny Golladay on the cheap. I can draft some offensive line, and I can hit on a running back in the 3rd or 4th round. And then, here we go. And we didn't even talk about Herndon, the tight end who was hurt last year. He set the world on fire 2 years ago.
Yep.
He was on a shitty team and was a top 10 tight end. So it's very possible to rebuild that team with what you have. I feel like the only suitor for Deshaun Watson that has the capital would be the Miami Dolphins. But that would be like a draft day trade. Like the movie where they traded all those draft picks to Miami to get their left tackle, and then now Miami's going to trade all those picks back to get their quarterback.
Right. It's a complete wash.
For Larry Tunsil.
Oh.
I don't know. But to wrap it all up, I mean, going forward, who do we think is more probable to repeat, to be back in the Super Bowl this time next year? We talking about the Chiefs, or we talking about TB12 in Tampa Bay? Well,
I mean, right now, if you're going with almost guarantee, I'm going with Kansas City.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they don't have as many free agents. There's not. I mean, there are no holes on that team other than on the defensive side of the ball, and we saw that exploited. Obviously, in this game that we didn't talk about, Patrick Mahomes not having both tackles starting in that game was pretty bad. I mean, the stat that we brought up was that he ran 497 yards just trying to avoid the rush. I mean,
I still think, though, even if both of those tackles were there, I think this outcome was still the same.
I agree with you.
Maybe a little bit more pocket protection for him. Maybe he gets something off, but the way that man coverage was covering those wide receivers, Tyreek Hill could not get away. Travis Kelce found some openings here and there. Did Sammy Watkins touch the ball at all? I don't even remember. McCole Hardman Jr. had a couple thrown at him, but I mean,
he got hit in the face. Yeah, in the end zone and dropped it. So did Pringle. That throw that Mahomes made when he's like parallel to the ground.
Oh, dude,
that throw was on the money.
That was a beautiful throw.
You should be stepping on babies trying to make that catch, and he didn't even do it. I feel like he gave up on that. Like you see your quarterback selling out 300-pound guys trying to just jump on him at any given opportunity, and you can't come up with that catch.
Well, no, this is where the sideline and the players on defense got smart. Whenever they saw their front line swarming Patrick Mahomes like that, what's your key instinct? If you're playing zone right there, you switch to man immediately and start covering up those wide receivers, because now instead of having one, you have two or three on one receiver. They're not catching anything, and we saw that happen last night.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm with you. You feel like the once the quarterback's under pressure, he's getting rid of the ball quick. You just jump on somebody. You just
Absolutely.
get around him and disrupt the pass any way you can. I mean, yeah. I mean, the game wasn't incredible, but the performance was, performance of a lifetime for an entire team to just put it all together, biggest stage. And then, of course, Tom Brady wins number 7
and gets MVP again. What is that? 5 times?
Yeah, that's a record. 5 times Super Bowl MVP, 7-time Super Bowl champion. The nearest person to have 7 Super Bowl championships is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots entire fucking franchise. Right? This guy has more rings than fucking teams do. That's insane. That guy's he's amazing.
And well, that's going to wrap it up for here on 2 Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. On the next time, we'll probably hit up the free agency again, because there's still tons of players that we haven't covered. And probably between now and then, we're going to have more news on the Carson Wentz possible trade, something maybe with Deshaun Watson, maybe something else with some other big name, right?
Yeah, I guarantee there's going to be a blockbuster trade that happens with a player that we haven't even named, that hasn't even been talked about yet. Guaranteed. That's the greatest part about the NFL, is that maybe the Super Bowl was the end of the season, but we all start again. We're all 0-0. Everybody's making moves. Everybody's trying to get that Lombardi, and it starts today.
I'm about as pumped right now with the draft and free agency and trades coming up as I am as the first kickoff of the regular season. I'm looking forward to it. Those of y'all who are listening to us, if you liked what we're doing, go ahead and hit that like button, share, comment on what you want to hear, what you think of the show. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at 2Wannabe. Again, as always, we appreciate it. I'm Ed.
I'm Zach.
And we will see y'all on the next time. Y'all take care.
Always the GOAT.